Wondering what you can do to take your business to the next level with video? I've got the best in the business, in my opinion. Brad McCallum, he's going to share with us exactly what he does to create the videos and distribute them in the way that adds value to his clients. You're not going to miss this one. All right, Brad, this is an interview I've been really looking forward to. I kind of share with you that I first found you actually through an intern that was working with me that actually became my videographer and just said, you got to check out Brad's stuff. It's so good. And this has now been a couple of years ago. So to watch how everything has come about for you has just been pretty exciting. And I'm really excited to get you so for us to get an opportunity really to share some of these things that you're doing that are so systematic, so repeatable, that are just really setting you apart in your local market. Brad, if you don't mind, just introduce yourself a little bit about where you are, how you got started, and then we'll bring it into talking about how video is affecting your business.
Yeah, absolutely. So first off, I gotta say, Jimmy, thank you so much for having me on, man. It's an honor to be involved in any way and to be a part of this. I'm a big fan of what you've been doing, the content, your writings, all that stuff. So thanks so much. My name is Brad McCallum. I'm out of Calgary, Alberta. I've had my license for 5 years. I've been full-time about 3 years ago. About 3.5 years ago, just over 3.5 years ago, I started uploading to YouTube. Basically, what happened was I got my license. I had no clients, and I came face to face with that reality that there's no reason to work with Brad McCallum. Absolutely should not do it. I don't have the experience. I don't know the area. I'm not a local area expert. I don't know how to negotiate. I thought I needed something that was bigger than just my ego to actually attract clients. And at the end of the day, what was kind of interesting about when I came I came up in the business was we were in a very deep recession. And knowing that our market's facing potentially a bit of a shift, we know at least on the stock market, we're in a recession, but knowing that there could be a shift in front of us here, what's kind of interesting and not even so worrisome to me is that that's where I built my brand. Was I realized that there were people in my market that were only having a 38% chance of selling their homes. So 62% of the time, a home would not sell that hit the market. And a lot of those families were either people that were having to sell their home at a certain price. Otherwise, they were going to be underwater on their mortgage, or they wouldn't even have enough to pay out their mortgage, or they wouldn't have enough for their first month's rental deposit or security deposit on their new rental. Like, people were trying to rebuild their lives here. There were lots of layoffs, lots of challenges. And so even though in hindsight, creating a large YouTube channel and an audience and being known for creating high quality listing videos, which is, I think, the way most agents know me, none of that was on purpose of building a brand for myself. It was because there was a lot of families that were in a lot of need of selling their homes at a good price so they could actually rebuild their lives. And I think there's a possibility that, in certain markets, we might be facing some of that in the next 18 to 24 months. And if that's a reality, the question that I really came to terms with was not just why choose me, but really the bigger question for all of us should be is what's in it for them? Like, if someone's going to work with us, what's in it for them? And so I just chose from day one in my career to wake up and ask myself that question and then work on the answer. And that's been the biggest thing that's helped me. That answer has helped me try to learn things like analytics and how to leverage my content so more people could see it, because the more people that saw it, there was a higher likelihood that someone would maybe be a buyer for that property or know a buyer for it. So the whole answer to that question is what taught me how to create more exciting content, how to get that content watched longer, and then how to use that content to actually leverage it on different platforms like Instagram and TikTok, not just YouTube. And then how to make sure that at the end of the day, it wasn't just serving my own ego of like me on camera, hey, I'm number one top producer, the best, or anything like that, but how I could always make sure that that original message of what's in it for them, that the home was the star and that the rest of us were just the B actors in it.
I tell you, Brad, that's one of the things I love about your videos is the authenticity of being who you are in the videos, and also it just comes through. It seems like you make the home the hero in every video and highlight that home in a way. And I know that a lot of people, here we are. I mean, you got 31,000 plus subscribers now. And this didn't just happen overnight. A lot of times it seems like when I'm talking with agents that they'll say, well, I tried the video thing and it just didn't work. It's almost like a lot of people just don't realize that how things compound over time. You want to speak to that and maybe give some encouragement to those people that are just starting on the video side of this and kind of what it took, how long it took and how that compounded, if you don't mind.
Yeah. So first off, I'll say to any agent that says video is not for them, you're just wrong. I have now seen so many agents in small markets, large markets, ultra competitive markets, markets that it doesn't seem like anyone has any interest in. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if the agent's older, younger, attractive, ugly, whatever it might be. That agent can be successful in their market if they're delivering content that's of value or entertaining to their audience. So then the question is, well, what has value and what's entertaining, right? And as you work on that answer, you're going to find more and more of your audience. But in the beginning, just by the nature of it, when you start a YouTube channel, it feels like you might be spending 30, 40, 50 hours a month, and you go from 60 subscribers to 70 subscribers. And you're like, holy smokes, 10 people, maybe 7 of them aren't even in my market and never moving to my market. So what was the point of doing all this? I could have just bought that attention, or those leads through other services. So why would I do this on building my own brand? And the reality is that compound interest in your personal brand is what grows your business. So I read a book very early on in my career called Talk Triggers by Jay Baer. And Talk Triggers, it's all about the only way to really grow your business in a meaningful way is to grow your sphere of influence. The only way to grow your sphere of influence, apart from just the actual belly to belly, like going golfing with more people or hanging out with this people or joining that club or, going to this dinner party, it's actually trying to find something that people in your sphere or outside of your sphere is worth talking about, right? So like we talk about our friends, we talk about other people's lives, what's going on, things of interest. And also to our own friends, we want to share things that we think they might be interested in. So if we've got a friend that's shopping for a home, right, and you've seen something that might be of interest to them, right? Like everyone knows an auntie or a mother who'll be like, oh dear, I know you're shopping for a house. I saw this house in my neighborhood. And you're like, well, obviously I'm not interested. Like, what are the odds that I'm interested in that one particular house, right? But it's that same sort of concept is like, that's how humans interact with each other. We're always trying to bring value to each other, to our friendships, to our family, to our markets, whatever it might be. So when someone sees a video, they're like, oh, wow, this is kind of cool. Like, I'm going to pass on Brad's name. You should see what he's doing. Or you're thinking of selling your home, or you're unsuccessfully currently trying to sell your home. Okay, well, you know what? I saw this other guy and he's doing this stuff. I mean, he seems to be busy all the time. They've always got lots of stuff going on. They've got a really big audience, lots of thousands of views on their stuff. Like, you've got an interesting house, maybe he can help you. And that word of mouth is what takes our sphere of influence and helps it really, really grow. So in the beginning, growing your channel, just 10 subscribers doesn't seem like a whole lot, but that compound interest, that story of like, well, if you put $100 in on your 18th birthday and every month you put $100 in, eventually you're a millionaire. Same thing's true about your personal brand, is that you'll get to that point that you'll still spend that 40 or 50 hours when you've got 10,000 subscribers, and you'll still grow by 15%, but now you're growing 1,500 subscribers in a month.
Right. And
that is the difference. That's how this scales and gets so far away from what you ever imagined. Like, that's how, like, in the beginning, it was like almost, I remember I stood on stage at R4 and I was asked to speak to a room of people right before COVID hit. So just about 2.5 years ago now. And I had 700 subscribers. 1 minute of my content, or there was about 8 hours of my content watched in a 24-hour day. And I thought, how can I stand in front of a room of agents that sell way more real estate than me and tell them about what they should be doing with video and marketing and YouTube and Instagram? And the reality is that the industry is a better judge of what's going to work than maybe even my own self-doubt or even my own market, right? Like the industry is a great canary in the coal mine for like, that guy's doing something of interest. That's going to work. We should follow that. We should emulate that. And so when they said, oh, Brad, you should go on and talk about YouTube. Well, that was 30,300 subscribers ago, and it took me probably 18 months to get to that 700 subscribers.
Right.
And then I got to 20,000 in the next 18 months. So the compound interest effect was absolutely massive. Now my channel gets watched almost 30 minutes for every 1 minute of real time. So 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, the days that I'm sick, the days I'm with my family, the days I'm with another client, the days I'm traveling, the days I want to go golfing with my friends, 24 hours a day, we're getting that times 30 of our content watched. And it's not cold calling or door knocking because they're the ones pressing play.
Yeah. Brad, speak to that a little bit. I mean, it's so amazing when you start thinking about the compounding of this. There is a big difference between making outbound calls or generating those things, because you're coming from a place of being a salesperson. What does it do with the video though? What's the difference there?
Well, I mean, it's the difference between someone calling you up and saying, hey, can you list my house? Or you calling up a bunch of people randomly and saying, hey, are you interested in buying or selling a house?
Right.
I mean, it's a completely different dichotomy of the relationship, right? Like if someone says, hey, like, I want to talk to you about this business opportunity, you're like, what are you trying to sell me? What's going on? You're immediately on your defense, right? But if a trusted expert and you say, hey, I'd like to ask you about this or that, the trust has already been built enough for them to reach out to you. So I don't do any advertising outside of that. In recent months, we've been testing a little bit with my friend Jimmy Mackin over at Curator. Yeah. Like Jimmy's a pal. And so what we're checking is like, can we do some of our short form video with a little bit of what they do on the campaign side to see if we can generate even warmer leads? But still, the vast majority of like our low hanging fruit is the person that's like, saw your YouTube video moving to Calgary, saw your YouTube video, can you come list my house? And those calls all are happening all day long, every day. And I think that's really the power of it that people forget, right? It's that upfront cost, those early days of YouTube, that 40 or 50 hours a week, right? Like if you akin that to say door knocking in the beginning, right? Yeah. Like at best, let's say those 40 or 50 hours result in 2 deals. Well, you know that today, 40 or 50 more hours of door knocking is going to result in 2 deals, right? And that's the problem, is that it does not scale, right? Because you're so key in doing it. At best, you can use other humans and their hours to scale it, but that's not even a great way to do it in the long run, in my opinion, because I've found now that even on my YouTube channel, rather than me trying to hog the spotlight or make it about me, I'm trying to use the audience that we've built as a way to elevate the agents on my teams, have them be in some of the listing videos, have them stand alongside me, because Brad wants to go on vacation with his family. And I want someone to say, like, who called us after watching a YouTube video and saying, man, I'd love for you to come list our house. I can say, hey, Caitlin, or Melinda, she was in that video here. She's awesome. Melinda's going to come out to your house this week. I'm going to set you up with an introduction to her. I'm just away right now. And they don't feel like they're, oh, well, I didn't get Brad, so I'm now going to go elsewhere. Right. So the opportunities for leveraging it it's really massive. And I've stumbled upon this, not been intelligent enough to foresee it. That's for sure.
Well, once you figured it out, though, you went all in. And this is what I love, Brad, is the way that you have literally, in my opinion, I've had a number of agents who will ask me, okay, well, if I'm going to do more video, especially as an agent from a marketing standpoint, what should I do? And I send them to your channel. I want to encourage anybody that's listening right now, go out and see this. I mean, what Brad's doing and the whole McCallum group. I mean, I noticed you're in having your other agents that are part of the team being in there. What you're doing is something that is repeatable. So let's get real practical for folks.
Yeah.
Let's talk about, if you're going out to shoot a video, you're storyboarding it a little bit before you go. What is it that you found? Because I know you're constantly refining and looking at the analytics. What are you finding that the typical time frame is, the beginning shot, the ending shot, all the things in between? If you can break that down a little bit, that'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely. For sure. So, I mean, to break that down, you have to understand first off what YouTube wants. YouTube is an ad platform. Their only goal on YouTube is to sell ads. And so what allows them to sell ads? Well, length of time on platform, That's simple. So a user comes to the platform, they start watching a few videos. What do they do in response to those videos? Did they watch a video that made them to go on and watch another 4 or 5 videos in a series? That's great. That means YouTube has a longer length of duration of viewing time and can show more ads during that. So then they're like, hey, that guy's content is entertaining, it's engaging. Let's share it on YouTube here. We'll create more revenue and we'll reward Brad with some algorithm juice because of it, right? Or you create unentertaining content that's sort of boring, sort of bland, right? And they show it to a sample set of users and they say, yeah, people left the platform. They didn't like it. Maybe you shared the link on Facebook and they went to YouTube, even though they're in Facebook mode, left after 30 seconds, went back and YouTube's like, oh my gosh, we can't show them that guy's stuff because that guy's stuff is unengaging and it ends the session, right? So for understanding sort of the analytics around your videos, it's all about how do I keep a viewer watching my video longer? And so the real basic structure of my YouTube tours are based around one simple concept that I need to hook their attention in the first 5 to 10 seconds. And so hooking their attention, you can use fireworks and speedboats and all that stuff, or you can just use something that's of high value to them. Like, might be a question of like, is the housing market crashing here in Calgary? Is there any more hope to sell your home at these high prices, right? Like it might be a sentence that's just like that either evokes some fear or evokes some emotion or evokes some sort of interest, right? Or I'm about to show you a home, a mega mansion with a 25 meter indoor lap pool, right? And someone might be like, cool, I want to see that. I want to be entertained, right? Or this is the home that Leonardo DiCaprio stayed in during the filming of The Revenant, starting now. And people are like, okay, that's an interesting hook, right? So I want that first 5 to 10 seconds, but I have not yet bought a viewer for a 5, 7, 12-minute video. So the next thing I want to do is get them past that 10-second hump all the way to 30 or 35 seconds. If you can get someone, and so that means you show people the highlights first. Agents like to hold off on the best thing to the end because they think, oh, great, people will stick around for it. The problem is you got 15% of your audience left at that time. Show them the best stuff first and be like, okay, this is exciting. This is exciting. And people, if they love it, they'll stick around. Now they're kind of curious, like how many bedrooms, right? And like, oh, there's a nice spice pantry here. Like they will stick around for the little details if you can give them the heat off the bat. So my basic structure, 5 to 10-second hook, then another 10 seconds of high impact, beautiful cinematography of different shots of the home that makes a user know, even without saying it out loud, what's in it for them. The next 20 seconds or so, it's me saying, I don't even introduce myself. I don't even say, hi, it's Brad McCallum with Real Broker out of Calgary, Alberta. I just say, hey, if you've been looking for a home in this Western community on the edge of Calgary, you want to be close, drive out to the mountains, you want to be close to some of the best shops and restaurants here and some of our city's best schools. And during that time, whatever I'm saying with my audio, I'm using B-roll video shots to enforce it. Some of our city's best schools, mountains, shots of the mountains, shots of that shopping, right? Back to me on the street. On the street, I'm choosing something that's got action or contrast or interest in the background, right? Maybe it's a beautiful field behind the house, right? And then I say, well, cool. Then in that case, you're going to love today's tour. We're going to take you inside and then give them the highlights. It's 2,800 square feet, 6 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms, whatever it might be. And then you take them inside. And so if you can get them through that first minute and a half, I don't care if 40% of the audience is gone because most of the time people are clicking and popping off everyone. Like Mr. Beast only gets 45, 50% of his videos watched, right? So it's like, if I can get, on a video that's got 30,000 views, that's 15 minutes long. If I can get 12,000 of those views to stick around pretty much to minute 14, I've gotten 14 minutes of someone's time times 12,000. Think about the amount of trust you've built with them during that time, right? I think about the amount of that they've got to know you, and also during that time, like, are you breaking down what they believe a real estate agent is, right? Are you changing what their thoughts are on the industry? Are you presenting the home in a way that shows that you actually know something about the property? One of the unintended consequences of listing videos at a high level was we in a balanced market will double end or bring the buyer 19% of the time to our own listings.
Yeah.
Industry average is about 4.5%.
Yeah.
That was unintended, but it's like, well, why? Because the reason why you call up your niece who just got licensed is because you fundamentally don't believe that one agent is different than another agent from a value proposition. But if you're looking at a video and you're thinking, okay, well, this person really knows the property. I've got some serious questions about that community, the schools, that the building of that house, the structure that actually, envelops it. Like, is that property a good property? Well, this guy knows, let's just call him directly. And that's another really cool, sort of side effect from it. And then every agent, I think, wants to do volume business, right? So business where they've got a partner that is going to give them more than one or two great listings a year, right? And so what we are in Calgary is a marketing company that also sells real estate.
Right.
And so because of that, great builders, some of the most talented people on planet Earth, right? Like the best singers are not the ones on stage. They're in their basement somewhere. They just don't have an audience, right? The best builders and architects and designers oftentimes are great architects, builders, and designers, and horrible on social media, right? No, they're practicing their art, but it's in a vacuum. No one really knows about it. And so once again, the purpose of our channel is not to just have everyone know about Brad McCallum and our listings. It's to elevate their brands and their businesses. So they look at us as, how do we get more from Brad than we give up to Brad? And really, as agents, we forget this, right? Especially if we've won a few awards and we've done well in our business, we start to think that it's a privilege for people to work with us. And the reality is there's a lot of great agents that are really capable agents and good people who might do just as well as us. And if we were a little bit less busy like they are, we might even be able to service them better, right? So what else can you add, right? And so for me, I was like, I want builders, designers, partners to see, like, my goodness, Brad can be my marketing department, my HR department. He can be my realtor as well. So then when it's like, oh, the home didn't sell. Well, Brad, what did you do? Did you follow up with that guy that was in last week? All that stuff. I can say, well, listen, we've gotten now 90,000 minutes of watch time of a highly professional, high quality tour of your home, which means that rather than cleaning your home for 30 low qualified showings, right? Your home was cleaned once and then presented extremely professionally. So that person that comes out and doesn't realize that your home faces the train tracks, we address that in the video, right? So now you're not going to clean your house up, get your 6-month-old out, your 2-year-old out of the house, clean it all Saturday morning for an afternoon showing, come back just to find out that they left after 8 minutes on the Nest Cam because, you know what? Oh, we didn't really realize what the property looked like from the pictures. And it's like, so the goal of this is transparency, right? So people understand those pieces. So that's a little bit on that. And then the network effect is what's wild from it, is the way that grows.
Well, that's the beauty of it is it's not just compounding the time and the views and the branding. It's now taking you to another level of someone, like you said, that is viewing this as they're getting more even than they, whereas the whole idea that you hear in the general community is what is the value of a real estate agent, and they're overpaid. And, most people start out thinking that way. And when you're doing this in a way where you're not only showing your value, but you're showing that you're giving more than enough value, especially to those companies, it's tremendous. Let's talk about some distribution, because this is where I think it gets interesting, especially for what you're doing. And I want to hear some specific stories of some things that are happening. But let's say the video shot, it's edited. Now, it's one thing to have great product, but if you don't have a way to distribute this out where you get the eyes on it, it's very difficult. So can you talk to us about your process now and kind of what that started with and maybe where you are now?
Well, I think anyone who has tried to create any content realizes that it takes a lot more time than they might have allowed for up front. And so if you're going to make high quality content, or you're going to make content, you want to make sure that you have as much distribution on the different platforms that are available to us today, right? So for example, when I create a long form YouTube tour, oftentimes I'll post it on Facebook and share it. I'll just share it there on my personal account. But I upload it natively to Facebook. Then I also upload it natively to LinkedIn. But when I'm on LinkedIn, the write-up that I would have given on Facebook, I don't use on LinkedIn because it's a different audience. So on LinkedIn, I'm talking to the entrepreneur. I'm talking to the marketer. the person that's speaking to more like business philosophy on why we do certain things. And then the video just becomes evidence of it. It's a slight maybe byproduct that we'll find a buyer, but likely what we'll find is someone else that thinks our business is different or unique or worth talking about with their friends. And then when it comes to YouTube, we do our long form there. But that means that when we're at the actual video shoot, we have to think about, are we able to leverage this for different platforms? And obviously short form video these days is huge. So what do we need for that, right? Well, first off, what we might want to do is take the camera and film vertically. And we'll film vertically like a 5 to 6 second intro, like, hey, want to see inside a $1.2 million home in Elbow Valley, just outside of Calgary? Check this out. And that little 4-second clip now tells people, hey, this is what the next 12 seconds of value is. People will watch that video and we'll get, some of them will go, 10,000 views. Some of them will go to 250,000 views, right? Some of them will lead to us double ending that $3.5 million acreage like we did last year on there, right? And so those are the kind of things that we're able to use. So it would be foolish to not take the high quality content that takes so long to build and then chop it up into smaller bite-sized pieces, right? I think Inman, you guys are a great example of what you guys do there. You look at a lot of guys that have podcasts, they'll take these sound bites and they'll get 4 or 5 pieces of content out of it because they know it'd be way harder to start the camera, get ready, come up with something brilliant to say, and then record that 10-second clip and then do it all over again, the next day. It's like, so we need to make good use of it. So if you've got a really cool property and it's got 1 or 2 really defining features, make multiple pieces of content on that one property, but do it of just around those features. So let's say you've got an amazing pool in the backyard with a swim up bar and like a little tiki bar or whatever it might be, right? Like, do this, like, would you like this? Like ask someone like, hey, would you pay $300,000 to have this backyard pool oasis in your home kind of thing? Like ask a question like that. That's going to get people to say, no, I would not spend that much, right? Or I would, right? Like get people to engage with your content by asking a question. And in some cases, you can get a little fun with it, right? And almost provoke people, right? Because there's going to be people that are going to be on both sides of the issue. So if you can remember on your shoot day, I need to create a reel, a TikTok, I need to create the long form video. And then what I'd also like to do is, wait a second, if I'm working with a site like Curator, or if I myself am going to go on and to do like a Facebook boosted post for an open house, wouldn't it be cooler to just actually say, hey, we got an open house coming up this Saturday at 1 p.m. till 3. There's going to be refreshments there. You can come and check out this incredible house. Here's some of the highlights. Hope to see you there. You say something like that. Now you boost that post. It's a personal invitation to someone. How likely is that going to perform better than a photo of the front of the house and an open house post and all that stuff? And it's, if you create that basic checklist of yourself for yourself at each shoot, you just tick them off. And you don't, and the repeatable part that you talked about earlier is that you can get creative, and creative is fun and it's neat. But if you just create some basic sequences that you can use at each one of these shoots, you will find that you've got already the listings, or there's listings in your market that are vacant or they're builder owned and they want exposure that you can use to start creating multiple pieces of content that convince everyone in your market that you are a busy, competent, and value-filled realtor. And those are really, really, really key. Like I always tell people, if I see someone in a YouTube video wearing a lab coat, I assume he's a doctor. Right? If I see an agent walking around a $2 million home, I assume they're a luxury agent. And so like for us, that's what we did. Like depending on who you are or how you came across our content, you might think, oh, Brad's a luxury agent because we sell a lot of high-end properties, right? A lot of other people, when they go to our channel, they just notice the $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 properties we sell, and they like those. But so many agents make the mistake of thinking, well, if I want to be a luxury agent, so I have to be into luxury products, luxury cars. I need to be a luxury human and how I dress, look, appear, all that stuff. And that's what those people want. But what people forget is that like humans are just humans. And because they're just humans, wealthy people get told a lot of things that they want to be told to get their business. But what we get to do is they get to go to our channel and see the care and attention that our team gives at $300,000, $400,000 listing. And they know we're not blowing smoke. They can see what we've done for that family and the care and attention that we've given that property and that tour. And that has gotten us more high-end listings than other high-end listing videos.
Yeah. So let's talk about like you mentioned Instagram Reels. I'm sure you're using stories, you're using TikTok. Yeah. Are you having links like in the story, or are you having any links going back to the full form video at all? Or is it just the teaser and then they just kind of know to go back to your channel? How are you doing that where you're
so I do leave, like, I don't do one of those link trees in my Instagram account. I probably should. Even if you go to my YouTube channel, you'll notice it's like an old picture. Like, I don't do half the stuff that people say you should do, like your channel art, and I post every Monday at 6 p.m. and all those things. Not that you shouldn't do that, because it's just that those things aren't the value for the viewer. The viewer is something that's entertaining, highly energetic, makes them laugh, makes them stay. Like, those are the things you should focus on. Everything else you can kind of leave, right? Because there's a million things that we could all be doing, in our business to optimize every little dial. But on Instagram, I don't share the links to the full YouTube tours, because once again, I'm trying to drive organic traffic to it. So I'll give you an example. Like, I'm working, and I hope this doesn't sound like self-promotion at all, but I've been building a channel for agents called Brand It Like Brad. It's just, I geek out over stuff like this. So it's probably going to be not very interesting, because I'll be talking about gimbals, camera equipment, creating content, scripts, leverage, all that stuff, right? Like, there's no silver bullet here. So that channel is going to be coming out in a couple of weeks. Now, before I share it with the agent population, though, that channel is going to be running on YouTube for a good month or so, letting YouTube find my audience. Mm-hmm. If I share it with the audience on Instagram, or try to get viewers who watch my YouTube channel also go check out my other YouTube channel, if I do that too early on, YouTube could get really confused on who my audience really is. And so I want the information that YouTube's going to provide me in the algorithm, saying, oh, you know what? The people who we're showing these videos to, Brad, they're coming from searches about this topic or that topic. I want YouTube to find my audience first. And then I want to serve that audience with the content that YouTube's telling me that they want to hear, not the content that I want to make. Right. And that's the big challenge with us as agents is, agents have spent a lot of money and time and energy explaining that the mechanisms or the certain aspects of a deal, like, what is a condition, what's a waiver, and none of that is interesting, right? But as salespeople, we all know in our gut, you don't sell the features, you sell the benefits. But yet when we go to create content, we oftentimes create content around the features. So it's like, what are the benefits? What is this going to do for someone in the end? Like, what does this mean? What's the emotional connection that they can make from it? What will this look for their life if they were to take these next steps or these actions, right? And it's through those stories that you'll actually create like a sense of community with that audience. And that's something that Teal and I do really well. We don't have the same fair housing laws. So there's probably something that an American could watch on our Canadian channel and say, I don't know if you can say this is a great home for families or something, right? So there might be a few things you might need to tweak for your market. But the reality is it's like the audience that you're trying to build on YouTube, let people go through a few hoops to find you. So if they're through Instagram and you're talking about your YouTube channel, great. Let them reach out to you and say, hey man, send me a link, or let them go on YouTube and search it up, because that extra set of intentions by that user means they're likely someone who will actually consume that content and probably be a good viewer for your content. And so then it's not so bad to share it with them, right? But having someone who subscribes and never watches your content again is not really of value to you. It's good for your vanity, but it's bad for your analytics.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. Hey, Brad, I'd love to hear. I'm sure there's some things that are happening where you're doing this and the distribution is leading to double siding some deals or maybe giving you opportunities that you didn't have when you were first starting. Is there anything recently that's happened that kind of is an example of the value of the video and what it's done for your business recently?
Yeah, absolutely, Jimmy. So I'll try to compress the long-winded story into sort of the footnotes of it. But last week, in partnership with Ferrari of Italy, we had Gucci come out, we had Ferrari come out, we had a bunch of local businesses, we had like the Hungarian consulate, the Lebanese consulate, we had 3 country singing acts, we had 5 of the Calgary Flames all come out to a 300-person open house at this gorgeous sort of Italian, like Tuscan inspired property of ours for the unveiling of the new Ferrari 296 that was just announced 60 days ago. There's only 3 of these cars in North America, and they're on sort of like a show car tour around all these different cities because it's a 3-year wait for these automobiles. So we only got this connection because we can reverse this back to a call I got about a year and a half ago from an agent or from a client that said, "Hey, listen, man, I've been watching your videos this morning. I'm super excited about this. I've got a really cool house. It's got a pool, a water slide. We've got a pickleball court. It's about 6,000 square feet. And the agent that's selling it has only gotten us 5 showings in 8 months. And I'm so mad at him. When you check the MLS, he doesn't even have it noted that we have a pool. Like, I'm just so upset. So I want you to come list my house. I've already terminated with him before the call. I know you're our guy. Let's do this." So 2 weeks later, we shoot our video. And while we're shooting, we also shoot a TikTok. We go back, we release the TikTok on Tuesday with the goal of releasing our full tour on Friday, and then also being on the MLS on Friday. That TikTok overnight gets 140,000 views. It then gets a 70-year-old business owner in our city who's on TikTok, who sees the video, who books a showing within an hour. Then 4 hours later, he books another showing. We show him for a second time. It's going to take a couple of days to think about it. So then on the Friday, we release it to the MLS. I send him over the full tour now. He's only seen the TikTok, seen the house in person. Now we've got this extra sales tool to show him. He watches the 15-minute video, books a third showing saying, "Brad, I think I'm going to write an offer tomorrow at 1 p.m. Now, in those first 3 hours on the market, we booked 5 showings. We did not do a price adjustment. It had been on the market for 8 months. The only difference was the video. This is the thing that had the value. And because that video was entertaining and engaging, people started to understand the real value of this home rather than just dismissing it off of the first few pictures on the MLS, right? Now, fast forward, of course, now this guy buys the house. He's unrepresented. So this is my first 6-figure commission as a real estate agent. Now he's got a $4 million property to sell. Tough property to sell, but very beautiful area. It's kind of a 70s, 80s vintage glam look to it. We decide, let's be creative. Let's create a follow cam video of a dinner party, a cocktail party. So we recorded La Vie en Rose with a jazz singer. We had it performed on site. I invited a bunch of my friends for free who all had babysitters. We had a 2.5-hour window to film us basically, greeting some guests into a party, following them as they go through around that, going out onto the grounds at night and guests mingling. The song kind of reaches a crescendo and then the party sort of ends. But at the beginning and the ending, 2 Ferraris are in the driveway. And at that night, I met the events manager for Ferrari because the business owner invited them out as a favor. "Hey, bring out these Ferraris." They said, "Holy smokes, we just watched what you guys did. You're just doing this for a sale? Like just to sell a house? Like what?" And like, isn't the house a little bit like dated and stuff? Like, and we're like, "No, this is cool." Like, and so once they saw the house and they saw what we were doing, he's like, "We got to do some stuff together." And so we've kept in touch. They've had us down. We've done a couple of smaller little events where they would come out and do what we call tours and test drives. Now, of course, they have a pretty massive network of people, right? And that community of Ferrari owners is about 250 in Calgary. They are very passionate, and all of them wanted to see the new model. We have a Tuscan-inspired Italian home that's a brand new listing that we've done awesome marketing on, $7 million property. I invite the owners. I say, "Come take a look at the house. Like, we should do an event here." They're like, "Let's bring in the cars." So the wild thing is that because of that one video now, We are working with developers, with members of the Calgary Flames. We're working with all these owners and potentially are bringing in a sale on the $7 million property, all because of that one event. There was a $45,000 Birkin bag bought that night in the primary bedroom where Gucci had came in and showcased some of their bags and some of the high-end luxury products. Like, the whole thing was like, I can't make sense of any of it, other than all I know is that no one cares about Brad McCallum. No one cares about any of this stuff. Ferrari's thought this is something where we can get more out of it than we give up. And this is the principle. Like, this is the Zig Ziglar thing. This is the Gary Vee thing. Give away 51% of the value and only ever ask for 49% back, and you'll be amazed what happens. That's the entire concept of our business model. I will often tell people we found a way to be really successful by making real estate about 5 times harder. But then we don't have to prospect. We get to work with people who respect us, who see us as equals and partners rather than interchangeable. And we get a lot of satisfaction because even though that's a really cool story about how you can, have these really cool events. And if you check out my Instagram page, you'll see this was a 300-person open house. It was like, agents always say real estate's not like selling sunset. Well, a few of us that night were like, well, I guess maybe tonight it is. Like, so it's just as once it is. But in reality, though, it's like all that stuff aside is really cool. The truth is we're probably facing a time in our market for many agents where in the last 10 years, you've seen a strong market. You've not seen a recession. You've not had to sell, work your butt off to sell someone's home. And when you sell it for them, they're upset. They're hurt. Because it doesn't matter if you over-delivered, they're still trying to rebuild their life. They've still sold their home for less than what they bought it for. They're still in a tough spot. They're still facing uncertainty in their futures. And recessions bring on challenges for families and marriages. And we'll be facing things that it will really matter the work that we do. It's not just about us building personal brands and wealth for ourselves and all that sort of stuff. It's about the people that we are actually serving. And so at the end of the day, I think that idea of what's in it for them, that's been my passion. It's my passion through and through. There's a lot of great things that agents can do to optimize their content. There's a lot of people out there. When I'm finally ready to share that channel, hopefully some of you will come check it out. But in the meantime, that's the reason why we do it. And that's the reason why I think agents can look at this shift that's happening in the market, whether it's video, whether it's social media, YouTube, whether it's just some other part of their business, whatever it is. A lot of agents have something that makes them noteworthy and talk-worthy in their communities. Those agents are going to stand to gain a lot in their business in this coming shift, because people are going to be looking for and really truly needing value. And so if you can display that, you're going to be just fine.
Brad, I love everything you do, man. I'll tell you what, I say this very, very, with everything. I mean this completely. I don't just love the amount of business you do. I love the way you do the business. That authenticity comes through. I don't think anybody, after hearing you speak, watching your videos, doesn't understand that you understand this as well as anybody I know, that it's not even about you. It's about the product. It's about the service. And then all of that comes back in droves. Listen, if you're out there and you have a referral or that's heading to Calgary, please reach out to Brad. Also, let me just say this. If you're wondering exactly what you can do to step up your video game, to do it in a distribution way, check out TikTok, check out Facebook, check out Instagram with Brad. Also, obviously, get on YouTube, subscribe. What I love with the subscription and when I did it, Brad, is it letting me know immediately when you're doing these videos and seeing how you're evolving these things and how you're doing them differently. So just appreciate everything you're doing. Listen, Brad, thanks for everything. I know people got value out of this. If you got value out of this, reach out, let Brad know, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks for watching the video. I specifically chose the video below for you because it builds on the one you just watched. I hope it's helpful, and I'll talk to you soon.